stay warm this winter. Vernon's Gateway Shelter has received provincial funding for 10 extreme weather spaces. Kelly Thier from the John Howard Society says it will be available from now until the end of March and will be activated when the temperature drops to -1 or colder, or when there is significant snow or rainfall. Seminar will get 12 extra spaces to be used by the Salvation Army. Today, the first day of advanced voting for the November 15th municipal elections. Vernon residents can cast a vote at Schubert Center, while in Coldstream, it's at the municipal office with the polls open until 8 tonight. And officials say the turnout today has been steady. Other local communities in the regional district also have advanced voting today. The 5 candidates running for Vernon mayor will be on KISS FM tonight for an open line forum. That starts in a few moments' time at 6:05. The city of Vernon has started what is called the Heads Up campaign, asking drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists to do their part to reduce the risk of collisions. Pedestrians and cyclists should keep heads up and watch for vehicles and make sure they are visible using lights and reflective clothing. Drivers are asked to pay attention, make eye contact with walkers and bikers, and avoid distracted driving. Coldstream Lumber finally has an answer to a fire that destroyed their kilns back in August.
I'm just signing our proof of loss for the final settlement here from the insurance company. And those funds are going to be here in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Company president Yonal Lee says that's allowed them to order new kilns that will arrive in the spring. The mill has also secured a supply of dry wood from other area mills that will allow them to keep running full shifts through the winter. 3 country rock bands will perform at Cal Tire Place next month. The Bands on the Run concert, December 13th, will feature Blackjack Billy, the Roadhammers, and Doc Walker. Promoter David Hesketh says it will be like a tailgate party with affordable ticket prices and an arena bowl setting that creates a more intimate concert experience for the fans and performers. You can get ticket information at ticketseller.ca. A public backlash has led BC's transportation minister to kill a proposal to merge Nanaimo's 2 ferry terminals or divert vehicles from Horseshoe Bay to Tsawwassen. Just a day after the ideas became public, Todd Stone says they are no longer on the table. The proposals were part of a ferry's report on saving money. Stone says the corporation can find other ways to lower costs. The Conservative MP for Ontario's Peterborough riding has quit less than a week after being found guilty of spending too much on his 2008 campaign and trying to cover it up. Dean Del Mestro denies having done anything wrong, despite the Ontario Court of Justice finding him guilty. Meantime, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau has suspended ethics critic Scott Andrews and Quebec MP Massimo Passetti from the party's caucus after 2 New Democrat MPs alleged they were harassed. Local first, Okanagan Chuswamp weather. Periods of rain beginning late this evening and windy overnight, lows of 6. Thursday, clouds, a 60% chance of rain tomorrow and windy, highs of 11. Currently 7 degrees outside 107.5 KISS FM. In sports, the Trail Smoke Eaters make their first visit of the season to Vernon tonight, the first of 4 games in 5 days for the Vipers. The Smokies are 5th in the Interior Division, just 1 point back of the 4th place Vipers. The WHL co-leading Kelowna Rockets host the Victoria Royals tonight, and the North Okanagan Knights host the Chase Heat in the KIJHL. 4 Nations Cup features the best women's hockey players in the world, and it is taking place in Kamloops. Canada plays Team USA tonight in their first meeting since the Sochi Olympics. Vernon's Curtis Lazar will be staying in the NHL. The Ottawa Senators say the 19-year-old forward will remain with the team beyond his 9-game trial instead of being sent back to junior. Lazar has 3 assists in 9 games with the Sands. And NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell testified under oath for 2+ hours in Ray Rice's appeal hearing. The former Baltimore running back was suspended indefinitely by the NFL for a domestic violence incident and now wants to be reinstated. It is 6:04. Send us your news tips to news@1075kiss.com. The best news tip of the week wins a $50 gift certificate to Papa Murphy's Take and Bake Pizza. Love at 425 degrees. Decision 2014 is coming up on KISS.
Hello, I'm Barbie from Beachcomber Home Leisure. We offer furniture you can feel proud to own, like FlexSteel. It looks absolutely beautiful when it's new, and the most beautiful thing about FlexSteel furniture is the way it lasts. With plush seat cushions so durable, they'll last you a lifetime. And of course, the heart of FlexSteel is their exclusive Blue Steel Seat Spring. Visit Beachcomber today and try our FlexSteel sofas, love seats, and chairs. Beachcomber Home Leisure, Highway 97 Kelowna, and 26th Street beside Burger King in Vernon.
And now, Local First, 107.5 KISS FM presents Decision 2014. Live from the KISS FM studios, here's News Director Pete McIntyre.
Well, thank you and good evening. Welcome to this special presentation on KISS FM. We have the 5 candidates for Vernon Mayor with us in the only form of its kind during this election. The show is also being simulcast on video, which you can access on the KISS FM news page at 1075kiss.com. Voter interest appears to be high in Vernon, and one reason for that is a good race for mayor, with many pundits saying it's too close to call. Victor Cumming, Jamie Morrow, Akbal Mund, Mary Jo O'Keefe, and Klaus Tribes are seeking the top job, presenting 5 different visions for the city. 14 people are running for the 6 councillor positions, including 4 incumbents. We do welcome your questions tonight, which we will get to in a bit, but first, each candidate is going to have a minute to introduce themselves, and we're going to start tonight with Victor Cumming.
Thanks, Pete. I'm Victor Cumming, and I'm running for mayor of Vernon. I'm married to Mary Ann. We have 4 adult children and 2 grandchildren. Born in Golden, did my schooling in Penticton. I'm a regional economist and economic development practitioner, master's degree, and 35 years of experience. I've worked with businesses and communities in all levels of government internationally across Canada and especially in BC. My work has been building and implementing successful economic strategies. I've done it for Vernon, West Kelowna, Cranbrook, Okanagan Indian Band, Hope, Smithers, West Bank First Nation, and many others. I've also been engaged as a professional facilitator to assist complex decision-making, preparing strategic plans, and evaluating impacts. The same skills that a mayor needs to assist council in decisions of their $62 million annual budget. So like many Vernonites, I love the outdoors, and I participate in not-for-profit activities.
That's Victor Cumming. Thank you very much. Now we go to Jamie Morrow.
My name is Jamie Morrow, and I'll be honored to lead you as our next mayor of Vernon. I grew up in Vernon, and I'm proud to call Vernon my home. I believe I have the skills and background to be your mayor. I have over 25 years of business management and leadership experience through my career with a number of diverse businesses, including previously owning and operating 2 businesses in BC. Specifically related to municipal politics, I have previous council experience, having served on council in the Kootenays, and was proud to contribute to my community through my position on council. I want to be your voice at City Hall. What would I like to see in Vernon over the next 4 years and beyond? I, like you, would like to see Vernon continue to grow as a vibrant and healthy community. A community that enhances the quality of life of its citizens and be a home where our children and grandchildren can stay and raise their families. My priorities are economic development, a place where Vernon is known as open for business, leading to jobs that keep our young people and families in Vernon, a vibrant downtown, and safe, secure, and affordable neighborhoods. I also believe the mayor's chair is a full-time job, and I'll make it so for you. I also believe the mayor should be accessible, and I believe your voice is important. My plan is to hold coffee sessions, regular intervals, so that you can have coffee with the mayor to discuss what's on your mind.
Thank you, Jamie. Akbal Mund.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Akbal Mund. I've been part of the Vernon community for 21 years. I moved up here, bought into the Wendy's franchise. And since that time, I've been giving back to the community, whether it was through sponsoring over 100,000 kids in sports, Wendy's Dreamlift Day, JCI, Vernon, Good Citizen of the Year in 2012, running the BC Winter Games in 2012. I've been part of this community, giving back to the community. I believe I have all the leadership that it takes. My vision, to make Vernon prosper, become vibrant, create a waterfront area on Kin Beach. That's what I see 10 years from now. So please come out and vote. We have 5 great candidates here. I hope that we have a high turnout. Thank you.
Thank you, Akbal. Next up, Mary Jo O'Keefe.
Good evening. Hello, I'm Mary Jo O'Keefe. I'm running for mayor of Vernon because I really want to see Vernon thrive again. I'm a longtime resident of Vernon, having graduated from VSS in 1972. My father built his law practice here in the 70s, and it's grown to the Nixon Wenger Law Firm, which is still located in our downtown core, all these years later. I have served our community for the past 20 years, both in my professional and political life, as the managing director for tourism most of the 90s, worked for as a managing director for Community Futures, and currently I run a wine touring business that brings people to our region. I really do have a wealth of current experience, lots of knowledge of local government, and contacts that I've made throughout these years that I would like to use to ensure that Vernon takes its place as the very best place in the Okanagan to live. Retaining and attracting new business, residents, even tourists. That's the engine of our prosperity. We need to grow our economic benefits to allow us all to achieve some of the dreams and wants in our community. I'm here today to ask for your support in my bid to be mayor.
Thanks, Mary Jo. And lastly, for the opening comments, Klaus Tribes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Klaus Tribes. As mayor, my top priority is to pursue and promote economic development. To achieve this, I will make the city business-friendly, operated like a business in an efficient, cost-effective manner. As your mayor, I will insist that all business and development applications be copied to me so that I can personally follow up on their progress. In addition, I will have an open door policy. Any citizen will be able to see the mayor even after business hours if it cannot be arranged any other way. I want to hear from our citizens, hear their ideas, suggestions to make our city a better place to live. To that end, I will hold 4 town hall meetings a year to give citizens an additional opportunity to be heard. No one person knows everything, but together we know a lot. Together we can make Vernon the prosperous city it should be. My message to potential investors will be, how can we help? How can we make it happen? How can we be of service to you? In other words, we are open for business. I'm a retired businessman of 39 years and have 18 years of experience on council. I will be able to devote all my time to the business of the city.
Okay, close. Got to wrap it up there. Each one gets a minute. We got to keep it fair here tonight. So thank you for the opening comments from our 5 mayoralty candidates. And now's the time to get your questions. You can call us at 250-545-7557, or you can send them to us on Twitter at 1075_KISS_news. Or you can email them to us, news@1075kiss.com. Sorry about that. news@1075kiss.com. And again, if you want to watch this on video, always fun to see everybody's smiling face here in our boardroom here at KISS FM. You can go to the KISS FM news page at 1075kiss.com and link up to the feed. So now it's time for the questions, and each candidate will get 45 seconds to answer a question, which may sound short, but we want to keep things moving tonight and get to as many questions and issues as we can. So starting off, my question, 3 of the candidates in this race have political experience. Klaus and Mary Jo in Vernon, and Jamie, from my understanding, you were on Sparwood Council some time back. So the question is, I'll put this starting to you, Klaus. How important do you think that is to have a political experience if you want to be the mayor?
Well, I think it is very important. I still remember the first year that I was elected, and I think it was in 1977. And I had absolutely no idea what it was all about. And I got there, and I was elected, and I got to council, and I was speaking a foreign language there. Words have come on flying by me that I thought I couldn't even find them in the dictionary. It took me about a year to really get a handle on what was going on. So yes, I think it's very important to have a council experience, just so you understand how the political system works in municipal politics. It was a good learning experience that first year, and after that I was on my way. And I'm in that.
Do you agree with that, Mary Jo?
Yes, I think having experience on council is very important. I think my current experience is going to let me hit the ground running and make sure that we start making the changes and identifying the barriers that we've had in the past in terms of being able to make business easy here and be open for business. So I think that knowing the processes of council and how to make change easy is very important.
Jamie, you've served on a council before, not here in Vernon, but what do you think of that question?
I think it's a very fair and very valid question. I agree with Klaus. It takes about a year to get your feet wet and understand all the processes and how things work. And once that happens, then you really start to be able to make some decisions that can really affect your community well. And I really like the idea now of having 4 years because, when you really think of it, 3 years is really all that, not a long time. You just get your feet wet, you start getting used to the system, and then all of a sudden, it's done. That 4th year, you can really make some huge progress. So I really think the past experience is huge and key to running our city.
So now to our political newcomers, Victor and Akbal. We'll start with you, Victor. What do you think of that?
Well, I have to respect the good experience from my other challengers here. One of the difference for me is I began advising to local governments and council starting in 1977. So I've been sitting on the other side of the desk and been working with local governments and regional governments, also provincial government, 35 years. So I don't think it's going to take a year, and I think I'll hit the ground running. And the language isn't new to me. I know the language. I know the system. I feel quite comfortable stepping straight in.
How about you, Akbal?
Well, Pete, thanks. I've been asked that question before, and it's funny because I answer it in one way, and that's some people still say the best mayor we ever had was 10 years ago, and he had no experience. So experience helps. I agree 100%. But I've been involved. The mayor is more than just the experience. You need to be a leader, and you need to be a diplomat. You need to be able to work with other people. So I know I can do that. So there you go.
Thanks for that. Let's go to our first call of the night. Everybody's got their headphones on, so we should be able to hear you. Please go ahead. You're on KISS FM.
Hi, my name's Amelia, and my question is directed to Mary Jo O'Keefe. And I'm wanting to know, it's great that you have experience and that you've been on council, and I'm just wanting to know how that relates in terms of you listening to citizens. My particular question is about the Merton gravel pit, and 1,100 people signed to say that they were not in favor of that, and yet you voted for it. So can you explain how that is listening to the citizens?
The Merton gravel pit was at the regional district.
But it's still your experience. I'm just wanting to know how that's.
Okay, I can explain why I voted for that. That gentleman had put in a lot of time and effort and had passed all the requirements the regional district had asked. So he had gone through an is that the right word? Agrologist. And he had also gone through soil testing, etc. He had passed every single one of those tests, which was very expensive for him to do. And his only thing that he had to do then was to be allowed to go to the Agriculture Land Reserve. I thought he deserved the opportunity to go to that Agriculture Land Reserve. It's interesting to me that in a short period of time, we have lots of young kids that are looking for jobs and things in this community. And we have a man who's an entrepreneur who's taking huge risk, and we're not allowing him to fulfill it. So I felt strongly that he should have been allowed to at least to go to the Agriculture Land Reserve with his request.
Thanks for that, Mary Jo. Let's go to line 2 where Dave has a question. Go ahead, please.
Yes, my question would be, I was reading with great distress this morning in the Morning Star a letter to the editors stating that water rates and people leaving town because they use too little water, and they received a user pay fee, which I thought was really unjust when we're trying to stress how we want to conserve water, and people are going out of their way to conserve water, and yet they're being penalized for it and now leaving town. And my question would be, what are we going to do to keep our golf courses that are on a residential rate, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, to allow them
to continue to operate? You got cut off there. Okay, I think we lost him, but I think we got the gist of it. We'll start with you, Jamie, on that one. This is a big issue, the water rates. Some local golf courses say they're not sure if they'll be able to remain viable with the way the rates keep increasing.
I personally think that we have to do everything within our power to protect our local businesses. And I mean, it's not just the few jobs that they have, it's the tourism and all the benefits that they bring to our valley. So we have to really look at that, rethink how the water is done, and rethink the rates and find out how we can do that better, where it comes from. Basically, that's all I can say is we need to do a much better job with that, and that'll start with us on council.
Mary Jo, go ahead.
The golf courses have a lot to do with reclaimed water. They came before City Council at the last meeting, and I have been very public in saying that we really do need to look at the rate that we set for reclaimed water. Currently, Predator Ridge pays 10 times as much as its nearest competitor. The other ones pay at least twice as much. That is a rate, the reclaimed water rate is something that the City of Vernon can set, It's not in the regional district parameters. So I'm really hoping that at our next council meeting, we revisit those rates and we make them so that our businesses can be really competitive and start seeing some success.
Klaus, next to you.
Yes, thanks, Pete. The reclaimed water rates, I was involved in getting the rates or rather the reclaimed water to Predator Ridge as well as the Vernon Golf and Country Club. Vernon Golf and Country Club were the first ones. And we signed an agreement with them for 20 years with no rates at all, free water. And those 20 years, of course, by now are up. However, I do not understand why we're even charging any rates to these people that are using reclaimed water, because the bottom line here is that our spray irrigation system requires places where we can utilize the water during the summer so that the McKay Reservoir doesn't run over.
Okay. Akbal, you're next.
Well, this is obviously going to be on the top of mind of the new council, and definitely we cannot charge any business this kind of amount. They just can't survive. So I know it's a contentious issue. Should they be charged this rate? No, they should not. I think everybody here agrees on that, and this is something that will be on the top of this first thing that we do as a new council.
And lastly on this topic, Victor?
Yeah, I'd like to address the other piece of this conversation, which is around user fees for water, even though you're not using the water. The complex part of water systems is that they are very capital cost intensive, and we need to have the maximum capacity for the shortest period of time. So all of us, whether we're using it or not, if we might use it, then there has to be the capacity built in case we do use it. So we have to build this very large, expensive system for really its maximum use during the summer months. So people need to pay to have that there when they want to turn their tap on.
Thank you for that and for your questions. We're just getting started here. We've got the 5 Vernon Mayoralty candidates with us, and we're going to take a break and come back with more questions on KISS FM.
Your favorite bunny siblings are coming to Vernon. Kootenai Concert Connection and G-Dan Productions present Max and Ruby live on stage in the Nutcracker Suite. Come watch as Max and Ruby's grandmother tells the story of the Nutcracker, and it comes to life right before their very eyes. Perfect for preschoolers, parents, and grandparents. Max and Ruby in the Nutcracker Suite. Monday, November 17th at the Vernon Performing Arts Center. For tickets and details, go to ticketseller.ca or call 549-SHOW.
KISS FM is proud to support small business.
If lunch or dinner with a view impresses you, it's Alexander's. Wine and Dine is back. Saturday to Wednesday after 5, just $35 a couple gets you 2 entrees from the Wine and Dine menu and your choice of Prospect Vineyard or Volcanic Hills wine. Alexander's Family Beach Pub.
The Schubert Center caters to your satisfaction. Weddings, anniversaries, Christmas events, and more. 30 guests to 300. The Schubert Center caters it perfectly. Now is the time to book your holiday party. Call 549-4201 and ask for Jack.
Attention all you wine drinkers. Armstrong Wine & Brew is celebrating 18 years this fall, and they have a hot deal for you. Save $60 when you pre-order 3 or more limited edition wines before December 7th. Armstrong Wine & Brew, next to Valley First in Armstrong.
When you support our small business, huge.
Well, that was a good day landscaping our yard.
It was. I'm so glad the staff at Brightland recommended this rubber mulch. Love how it looks around the shrubs.
It will hold moisture in, and unlike the bark mulch we used last time, this rubber mulch won't need replacing for a really, really long time.
Thank you, Brightland.
For innovative, time-saving, and eco-friendly yard and garden products, see Brightland on 28th Street. Find them once, and you really will say, glad I came here first.
You're listening to Decision 2014 on 107.5 KISS FM with News Director Pete McIntyre.
6:24 now. We've got the Vernon Mayoralty candidates with us. Klaus Tribes, Akbal Munn, Jamie Morrow, Victor Cumming, and Mary Jo O'Keefe. Lots of calls coming in. Thank you for those. We're going to go to Ron on line 1. Can you hear us?
I can. How are you?
Just great. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. I'd like to ask the candidates, I'm looking for someone who's very pro-business, open for business. I'd like to see businesses attracted to Vernon to broaden our tax base and, of course, create more jobs for the people in Vernon. So I'm happy to hear that a number of the candidates have said they are open for business and they would be as mayor. But I'd like to know specifically a few examples of how they plan to execute their open for business comments as mayor. Thank you.
Okay, great question. Let's start that with Victor. Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, a number of things that we can do. One of the big ones is we can set up links for employers. Sometimes they share employees. We did this in Invermere, so you get a connection between Silver Star and some of your golf courses, and then they share staff during the season. Another thing we can do is enhance our work with individual companies and enhance what they need. Be really clear about it. We can recruit professionals, which is a key thing that's going on right now. We can enhance our industrial land. We don't have serviced industrial land, and we need to do that with our partners. And last is we can make really good clear about what our development cost charges are, which will increase the equity and decrease the costs.
Akbal?
Very well said by Victor. I agree with everything he said. It's we can't be changing as it said before, the goalposts for the development charges. A lot of businesses don't want to come here because they don't want to go through the hassles of dealing with the city of Vernon. And, the perception is it's very hard to deal with. So we need to change that perception. We can bring business here. We have great resort communities here. It's a 4-season playground. And we need to work with the people we have here and ask them, what do they need to increase their business? There's lots of jobs we can come out of the business that are already existing here. So, you know what? Yes, we're open for business, but we just got to get rid of that perception that we don't want people here.
Klaus?
I think it starts at City Hall. Over the last little while on my campaign trail, I've heard some horror stories about how people have been treated at City Hall. That has to stop. And as mayor, I will make sure that stops. As I mentioned before, any business application that comes to the city, any development application, I want copied to me as mayor, and I will personally follow up on it to make sure that everything is done right and treated right. Secondly, I want to make sure that we have a one-stop shopping type of desk where a developer can put the project in, get an answer, and then that's the final way for him or her to develop their project.
Thanks, Klaus. Jamie?
I believe that we need to grow and move forward. And I think that starts with our downtown. I think what we really need downtown is mixed use developments. Like we need more like retail on the bottom, maybe offices on the top, and then go to residential. Like there's huge benefits to having that density downtown. And some of them are greater housing, a variety and density is more affordable housing, you get smaller units, life cycle housing, starter homes to larger to senior homes, reduced distances between housing, workplaces, retail, business, and other amenities and destinations, better access to fresh food downtown, keep things all local. What that really does is builds a vibrant community downtown. And if we build a vibrant community downtown that's business friendly and open for business, that will spread out to all other areas of our city, but it starts with our downtown.
Mary Jo?
It's a really important question. I think what I would do to start with is have a meeting, have a round table with some of our developers. I think we need to reestablish the trust of our developers and our investment community. And I would have a round table with those developers and have them identify some of the things that they see as barriers. I, like Akbal, have talked to even Habitat for Humanity, and they talked to me how difficult it was working with the city, trying to just identify a real rate for their DCC so they knew what to build in for their pricing. That sort of thing creates a barrier for people to be able to make investment in our community. It has to be addressed, and I think we can address it quickly. I would also identify some industrial land that we could invest in and develop, and I've seen many businesses leave because of the lack of industrial land.
629 with the Vernon mayoralty candidates. Back to the phone board. Good evening. You're on the air. I believe this is Derek on line 2. Derek?
Hello.
Sorry about that.
I have a question for everyone, but specifically Mary Jo, and I'm just listening. I think she sort of answered a bit of it, but everyone talks about being business friendly and encouraging growth. But Vernon has no industrial land, virtually no industrial land, and a corporate tax rate that's 3 times that of the residential rate. So how do you attract business when you've got no place to put them? And how do you get them to come here when you charge them 3 times the going rate?
So you want that put to Mary Jo? Go ahead.
Mary Jo, but the others, I'd love to hear their.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So in our official community plan, we have identified the Swan Lake corridor as the industrial park. So I think we need to move forward with negotiations both with our neighbors, VNC, and with the province to ensure that can be identified as an industrial park area and provide the services to it that need be for us to be able to use it as an industrial park. Your second question, your second part of your question, could you just remind me what it was?
I think it's the taxes charged to the businesses.
Oh, yes.
Businesses
You
too
know
high.
something, not in this term, but in the first term that I served on council, we did reduce the corporate tax rate from 3.2 down. It's now about 2.8. I would continue to reduce it so it would be more attractive to business to come to the area. I think, as you say, it's very, very important for us to adjust those things.
Okay. Does anybody else want to comment on that? Okay. Let's go back to the phone board then. And I believe it's David on line 1.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please. Thank you.
My question is, I'm disabled, and when I walk down the sidewalk, I'm constantly being battered by bicyclists, and I want to know what somebody's going to do about this.
So there's bicyclists riding on the sidewalk? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I would like that to stop.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Not for...
Okay. So that's your question then. Klaus, go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen some of that too. And, we have bylaw officers, and that's a really good job for them. I would like to see them on foot patrol in the downtown areas and do something about the way some of those bicyclists are abusing the sidewalks. So that's, to me, that's the solution, using our bylaw officers and take them away once in a while from writing tickets on parking meters.
Jamie.
Yeah, this may be overly simplistic, but when we grew up, we were taught that, you walk your bike on the sidewalks and you walk your bike across the street. And if we could get our bylaw officers to enforce that, it is really unsafe for some of these people that bike downtown. I sympathize with someone is disabled coming downtown, and even us able-bodied people. It's pretty crazy how they fly down with their bikes and skateboards. But I think we can solve that by controlling that with our bylaw officers and walk-only places in town.
Before we go back to the callers, I want to get everybody's comments on the water referendum, because this has been one of the biggest issues so far in the campaign, one of the only ones really. Klaus, you kind of got the ball rolling when you put out a press release a week ago or so saying that you were going to vote no in the $70 million referendum for water projects. And that night I put it to all the candidates at the forum, and there was a little bit of confusion coming out of that, because I thought that everybody said they were going to vote no, but Mary Jo has come out in the days since saying she was misquoted on that, and she's in favor of it. So let's start off with you, Klaus. You're voting no? There's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about that at all. And the reason I'm voting no is because there's been a request to take another look at it by a councillor from a neighboring community, and I think that's only fair. Along with that, I feel that any time the community is asked to spend $80 million, $70 million, it warrants a second look to make sure we're on the right track. Now, having said all that, in 2002, our planning for providing water in this area took a left turn, and we had been planning for years to do it differently, and Okanagan Lake was going to be the eventual source. I want to have a new look at it and see if there isn't a way that we can marry the two ideas and come up with something a little cheaper.
Akbal, how are you going to vote?
Pete, I will be voting no. There are some aspects of that plan I do like, but I think, again, the cost at $70 million doesn't sit well. I know the regional district is having another meeting on Friday to go over a bunch of the factors. So I'm going to hope that I can make that meeting as well, because I think it is important to look at it and understand fully exactly what is going on. But right as it sits now, Peter, I'm still voting no case.
How about you, Victor?
Yeah, this is a big struggle for me, and I think I didn't make a position. I think from the SENS one and the second one, those are both where I was not clear, and I'm still not clear. There are system improvements that are required, and I get that. And there are standards that are in question, and I don't know the answer to that. And the payment system, there's all kinds of discussion about whether we would pay for it all or provincial or federal help, and that's really just a big unknown. So I feel like we're at a stage of having way less than we need to know, and we definitely have to have improvements to the system. So we really are caught between a rock and a hard place, I think, this week.
So you're not going to mark the ballot?
I will mark my ballot after our Friday meeting with the regional district and water staff, and then I'll be very clear.
So we'll end with Mary Jo. Jamie, what's your stance on that?
I'm also voting no for that. I think there's still too much that we don't know. Like personally, when I looked at my water bill at home, it's up 56% since January 2012. And I don't think there's any guarantee that that's going to go down. And I don't know why we have to have the highest standards in BC over everybody else. Like, there's got to be a better way. And we may take a risk by voting no. We may take a risk by voting yes. But I think by voting no, we send a strong message to IHA and the province that there's got to be a better way. And we just can't do this alone. Other communities haven't done it on their own. So why should we have to?
Mary Jo, you are voting yes. Can you clarify that?
Yes. What I said at the referendum was that I didn't, or at the SENS forum, was that I didn't think the referendum would pass. And recently, I've talked to so many people that are so concerned with the water increases that they've already experienced, over 30% this year. So they're just shocked and amazed that we're asking them to spend another $70 million. So what I think, and the reason that the master water plan itself is bringing forward some changes that are absolutely crucial. The filtration, the separation of agriculture from potable water, which has been talked about for years about how we needed to do that, as well as increasing our reservoir for drought purposes. So what I'm saying, I'm supporting it because I believe in the federal elections coming up, we're going to have the ability to partner some of those dollars. And they'll only give it to people who are ready with what they call shovel-ready projects. Mm-hmm. So if we want to get one-third funding, we need to have some money to partner with. Okay. So I have no intent. I strongly believe that I'll offer the residents of Vernon the lowest possible water rates. I really will do that, but I would like to be able to access some of the partnered funds that I think are coming.
I let her go on a little bit longer there because I just wanted to get the whole explanation. Let's go back to the phone board. Yvonne, you're next.
Hi.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks. You have answered some of my questions, but I am concerned about the $70 million water thing and the taxes and how it's going to affect us homeowners, because it is a high rate we're paying.
Yep.
And a lot of us are just barely being able to afford it every 3 months.
You sound like you're calling from outer space.
Yeah, it's my cell phone.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, so I'm just feeling like I'm scared and also having that big a debt. And is there a plant solution? Like I've heard of things on documentaries on how to do it cheaper. So
to treat water?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Thanks, Yvonne. We'll kick that around a little bit here. It's easy to say no, Klaus, but I guess you said you just want to review it. But we have to have something for our water system. What else can we do?
Well,
other than spend $70 million on the 6 projects.
Yeah, at the present time, of course, we have pretty good water, so it's not that it's very urgent, and I think that we've been driven through it all started in Walkerton, Ontario, and some people didn't do their job properly, and as a result of it, the federal government came up with a Clean Water Act, which had passed on to the province, which had passed on to municipalities, but there were no dollars attached to it, and it was passing down these things. We have pretty good water right now. I've been drinking this water for 40 years that I've been in Vernon, and I'm still haven't turned green yet, so it's pretty good. So there's no rush. I want to have a look at this whole system. Take a totally fresh look at it and see if we can't do it for less money.
But I have to. Carol sent us a question earlier in the evening on email, and she was wondering if we don't go through with these system upgrades, could it affect our economic development? Mary Jo, do you have concerns about that?
Yes, that's one of my large concerns. Is the IHA actually can put a warning on their website saying that Vernon has below quality water. It'll affect people being able to invest, and it'll even affect our resale value of our homes. Now, there's a number of things we can do about this. We can choose just to lobby the IHA to say the Interior Health Association to say, listen, those standards aren't. You're not being fair to us. We are moving forward. It's going to take us some time to move forward. We can take the master water plan. As I say, I think there's 3 legs to it: the filtration, the increase in the dam, as well as the separation of agriculture. Maybe we separate them into 3 different projects that would reduce it. We should also remember that right at this very moment, we have access to very inexpensive money from the municipal fund, which will help us with the loan.
Okay, Victor?
A great point, Mary Jo. I think that the critical thing is that we have different pieces here inside this. And I think at some point we have to acknowledge we just have very expensive water, and there's just a whole bunch of reasons for that, both historic and real. And we're going to have to come to terms with that. Other municipalities have attached it to taxes so that you don't see the water rate directly on your water bill. It shows up in your taxes. And so it's kind of unfair when people say, oh, they pay a lot less somewhere else. But the reality is it's paid for in a less obvious way.
Jamie.
Well, sometimes I just feel like we're held hostage in the whole situation. Like, there really does have to be a better way. There are parts that are fine, parts that aren't fine. It's not broken up into any individual pieces, but it's just another thing where we really honestly don't know what'll happen if we vote it down. I'm hoping that we send a statement that we can't do this on our own, and we shouldn't have to bear this on our own. Other communities haven't had to bear it on their own. So that's my thought on here. I don't like being held hostage.
Akbal, did you want to?
We've made some great points here, and I see no reason why our water should be better than Vancouver, where 50% of the population, Greater Vancouver, lives there. So, that I do like the filtration part. That's the part that really, I said, you know what, we could use this, but that's $26 million, I believe. And I look at the rest of it, and I still have questions. And that's, why this meeting on Friday is going to be important. I'd like to, get a little bit schooled and a little better educated on this too.
Okay, 6:42. We're really just getting started. We've got many other issues to get to: the downtown tax increases, the Civic Arena, and lots of questions coming in. We'll be back after this break on Kiss FM.
Safeway bakers are at work before dawn every day to scratch bake all your favorites. They use only the best ingredients from Western Canadian farmers, and we know you can taste the difference our strict quality standards demand. Like with our French bread, it's baked throughout the day in the traditional European fashion, and it's low in fat. Plus, we understand how important it is that your French bread be hot out of the oven for dinner. That's why we guarantee it's hot at 4 p.m. or it's free. Visit a Safeway bakery today.
If you want more confident, respectful, happier, and healthier children, start with Keys Taekwondo.
Martial arts classes at Keys Taekwondo are fun and challenging. They'll help your kids develop confidence, character, and self-discipline.
Keys instructors are dedicated to helping all learners achieve success.
Learn more about classes for children, teens, and adults, including adult kickboxing. Online at KeysOkanagan.com or stop by Keys Taekwondo Studio, 4704 29th Street.
His music is timeless, and he's coming to spend time with you. Frank Mills. Really looking forward to being with you this holiday season. He'll share music and memories of over 40 years at the piano and around the world. And a few holiday favorites, too. Let Frank Mills take you on a musical journey down memory lane. Frank Mills. Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m., Vernon and District Performing Arts Center. For tickets, call 250-549-7469 or visit ticketseller.ca.
Andre's Electronic Experts countdown to Black Friday. 55-inch LG LED Smart TV, $998. That's $700 off. 32-inch Sony LED TV, just $299. Andre's Electronic Experts, 48th Avenue and in the Village Green Center.
City Furniture and Appliances, 38th anniversary.
Being in business for 38 years is about more than recognizing our name, but being recognized for real value, real price.
Plus, take 38 months to pay on furniture and mattresses.
Ask anyone that shops City Furniture and you'll understand why our customers come back decade after decade.
French door fridges from $13.99. Lazy Boy recliners, only $3.99.
Look for our anniversary flyer and come see the difference at City Furniture and Appliances, Anderson Way, Vernon.
Welcome back to Decision 2014 on 107.5 KISS FM. The phone lines are open. 250-545-7557. Once again, here's News Director Pete McIntyre.
Thank you again. This show also being simulcast on video. You can access it on the KISS FM news page at 1075kiss.com. Back to the phone boards, and we've got Julie on the line. Julie.
Hi.
Thanks for waiting.
I'd just like to make one comment first, and that is, could people stick to the timeline when the bell rings?
We're trying to keep them. They've done a pretty good job so far. It's 45 seconds, and we're trying to get them to hold the line.
That would be nice. So this is for all the candidates. I hear you all talking about the need for business and economic development. And what I'm most interested in is meeting the needs of all people in this community. That's what's important to me. And I don't think just business and economic development is going to do that, for one thing. And then I really want to know, what experience do you actually have assisting and guiding communities like Vernon as a whole, in a holistic way? What experience do you have doing that?
Okay. So you think there's too much emphasis on business?
I want to know what experience people have.
No. I mean, the first part of your question, Julie?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. And so what I'm not hearing is the experience people are bringing to this, not just being on council, but really what experience are they bringing to this to work with our community in a very holistic way at a community level.
To deal with issues such as?
Just meeting the needs of all people, whether that's homeless or like.
Okay, we'll put that to Victor first.
One of the luxuries that I've had over the last 2 or 3 decades is working on community-based economic development strategy, which really does mix the social and the environmental, is really concerned about issues like housing and access and a number of things that really are a multiple part of the issue, right down to literacy and training, and all those mix of activities that go together. And I've had the luxury of doing it with Revelstoke and Golden and Cranbrook and these communities who really see this need for an integrated approach to increasing the quality of life for everyone, not just sort of focused on economic only.
Klaus?
Well, I've been in business for 39 years downtown, and I recently retired, and so I do have some experience as far as business is concerned and how to run a business. However, I think I'm hearing you as to how do we get the whole community involved, and if that's what you're asking, in my opening remarks, I made the remarks that I'm going to have 4 annual town hall meetings where I'm going to invite people to come and bring their ideas and thoughts. And I think that way we will create the basis of involving the whole community. On top of that, I think that taking an aggressive attitude at City Hall is important.
Mary Jo.
I mean, part of my work history has been as the managing director of Community Futures. So I did write the largest thing for self-employment benefits to help people get back on their feet and develop their own businesses. And also, you probably are aware of the Bridges program at Community Futures. So the Community Futures is very much a community-based organization that helps with things like that, transitioning. I also think that what Vernon excels at really is bridging between the City Hall and some of our nonprofit associations. They come to us when they may need some grant applications, but we work really closely with them and make sure that they are thriving within our community. City Hall was very instrumental in making sure that some of the improvements to the homeless shelter, et cetera, were made. So I think we're very active in that area.
Jamie.
Well, I do have 3 years previous experience on a municipal council in Sparwood, BC. But, the way I look at this is we can either raise taxes or raise revenue. And the way to raise revenue is I don't really want to do that through taxing our citizens all the time. That's through economic growth and economic development, because the businesses pay taxes, and the stronger that we get municipally with businesses, the better we get with our tax base. And then we can take those dollars instead of your dollars and use those for the things that we need to help all the different disadvantaged or different areas in town that we need to spend our money. But that will come from economic growth and economic development. That's where we will get our money to help sustain the city without taxing our citizens all the time. And that's why I'm personally for the economic development.
And lastly on this, Akbal.
Thanks for your question, Julie. I've worked with many nonprofit organizations. I'm a strong supporter of Kindale. I've support the Salvation Food Bank. I've, been involved in many sports organizations. In terms of experience working with all these groups, my experience is huge. In terms of actually sitting at a government level and doing that, I can say it's not. But I've seen and I've talked to people who run these organizations, and I understand what Jamie had just said, that with economic development, you will gain more funds to give these groups. I said on Fantastic, we give out, $30,000 a year to these nonprofit organizations. So it's, it's not one thing.
Back to the phone board, and next up is Haley. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I just want to ask a question to all the candidates in regards to transitioning Vernon into a more healthy community. The official community plan addresses active transportation as part of its vision for a more sustainable Vernon. And I want to know how much of a priority you'll place on implementing this plan to make it safer for cyclists and pedestrians commuting throughout the city. And the 29th and 30th Street corridor is an excellent example to expand on. And I just want to hear some of the potential plans for future developments with active transportation.
Okay, let's start off with Jamie this time.
I'm actually not, you seem to ask like several questions and I'm kind of confused. I apologize.
I think she's talking about walking and cycling amenities. Would you favor more of those in the city?
I would have to say yes to a certain degree, but the thing is, it's easy to say yes or it's easy to say no. We really have to look at all the different neighborhoods and look at the whole picture of Vernon. I know when I was training for our Cal Rats Triathlon several years ago, and I would bike through town, scared the heck out of me. So I started riding out on the back road to Lavington. So I think we do have to look at a plan, a complete plan for the whole city, and not just a little neighborhood there, and then we can put that together. I do really see the value and importance of it, but we can't do it piecemeal. We have to do it as a complete city.
Mary Jo?
I would like to see us really connect all our trails so that people can be really safe off-road riding and off-road walking. We've gone a tremendous way forward in that, but I think that there's still some improvements that we could make that would make it easy for people to get out to Okanagan Lake and even get out to Cal Lake. And how about bicycling up Silver Star Mountain, which lots of people do for exercise. So those things need to be identified and made safe. The other thing that I think is important is that as was mentioned, it can be unsafe riding in the core, and I'd like to make sure that we complete the corridors that we've already identified and complete them for our citizens, so that they can start to transit into some other kinds of transportation.
Klaus.
I believe that any new road that's built needs to have included in it bicycle paths. And I'm talking about segregated bicycle paths, not those little white lines that we have now, which are safer, but not safe enough. The city of Portland has got a nice system which I recently found out about. And as mayor, I will certainly take a look and see what they've done. They've been hailed as one of the leading cities in North America, and I sure would like to steal some of their ideas.
Akbal.
Well, I think the city has done a pretty good job the last few years building bicycle lanes, walking paths, and I agree that we have to continue that, but we also have to get cooperation from our neighbors, Area B, Area C, and Coldstream. Vernon can't do it alone. If you want to go from Cal Beach to out to Kin Beach, you're going to need that cooperation. So it's just not Vernon. There is going to have to be some cooperation between all the neighborhood areas.
Victor?
Yeah, this is a high priority for me. As many will know, I've been key on Ribbons to Green and the Trails Plan for Greater Vernon. I know this topic well. Density is a key issue. We need to kind of double the density in the downtown core area to make walking more possible, and focusing on neighborhood services so that people can walk and cycle short distances to neighborhood places. Bike lanes, key in the downtown, key in some off main road locations, and we can follow other cities who've done such a good job of that. And also build some of these significant corridors. Up 29th Avenue is one that's under construction now. These are ways of getting people cycling off of main areas.
250-545-7557 is the number if you want to talk to the Vernon mayoralty candidates. We're on the air for at least another 20 minutes, and we've got Mindy Lynn on line 1. Go ahead, please.
Yes. For the last several months, there's been talk about working on 25th Street and cutting off the left-hand turns access from 32nd to 43rd Avenue. I'm just wondering what each of the candidates would plan to do about this.
Okay, don't hang up there. Is everybody clear on the question? You said 25th Avenue?
No,
Sorry.
25th Street.
Oh, 25th Street. Okay. And then what was the other one? The highway and 43rd Ave?
No, between 32nd Avenue and 43rd Avenue, they're making talk of not allowing left-hand turns.
Okay.
On 25th Street.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that, but does anybody want to comment on that?
I'll start. Thanks for your question. I do believe the city was looking at it and it was put on hold. And for us to, I as a new council, we'd have to go back and obviously take another look at it and why it was put on hold, and maybe the ramifications with revenue. I'm not sure. So I have heard about that, but I do not actually fully know the entire story. But we can look at that when the new council gets in.
Victor?
Yeah, I will fall Akbal on that. I think that's one of the critical components, but there is some solutions that we know from other cities, and one is a small traffic circle like in the intersections, which just slow the traffic. It's not a full-size traffic circle. It just makes you go around, and that slows you down. And I think these are the lower cost, simpler solutions instead of sort of setting left, right, and the regulating how people can drive.
Let's move on to the next call. Dennis, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
My question is for Mary Jo. It's not really the issue that's floating around that I'm concerned about. It's more about how it's being handled. The issue that's floating around is regarding the election signs. And during the debate at council, you voted to disregard the bylaw. And then it was reported during the election process that you would remove your signs and follow the bylaw. However, your signs are still out there that are breaking the bylaw. So you seem to change your mind a lot and not follow through. Is this indicative of your leadership style? Because it seems like you've changed your mind about the water as well.
Okay, thank you for the call. Question.
Actually, I would have thought it was indicative of that. I was listening to the people. We put up our signs to start with, based on our historical practice. I've been in 3 different elections. In 3 different elections, people were allowed to put up their signs on public right-of-ways. The mayor brought it up after the first weekend of signage and said that he thought that we should be obeying the bylaw for the first time. He himself hadn't obeyed the bylaw at the previous election. So the council debated it for the very first time, whether we should be putting up signage or not. And the majority of council decided in favor of keeping the signage there. And so I left it there. Then I got a lot of personal calls saying that they thought that that was an affront, that I should be obeying the bylaw if I was going to be respecting it. Okay. So I removed my signs, and I don't believe there's any of them on public property anymore.
Okay, thank you for that. Wayne, you're next up. What's your question, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment and then perhaps get feedback from some of the people. What disappoints me the most is that election after election, we seem to have candidates that talk about an efficient, cost-effective city, but they're speaking in generalities. Is there no council candidate or mayoralty candidate that has something specific in the way of improving the economy? I turn on the television news. I see Penticton over the last few years has built a new arena and a huge big convention center. Kelowna tonight, as a matter of fact, had waterfront development plans and new high-rise hotel plans. All of these things, in my view, start with a vision. Okay. They start with a vision, and then someone follows through on it.
So a specific project.
It hasn't, in my view, happened in Vernon for many, many years.
Okay.
And all of these things start with economic development. And my own personal favorite that I've had for years is that we should get back the Department of National Defense property, which the city, I believe, gave to the federal government for $1. They should say, give us that land back. We can use this to bring in new industry to our community. And they should take the industrial development officer in Vernon and have him sit on the steps of the Canadian legislature until it happens.
Okay, thanks for the question, Wayne. We'll start with you, Jamie. Is there one specific project you'd like to push?
Yeah, I totally believe in what you're saying, and economic development will move us forward. I really think that putting back on the table a convention center, either on the waterfront or close to the waterfront, would be quite an amazing thing. I've sat, I see things go through Kamloops, I see things go through Kelowna, things go through Penticton, and it's actually quite unnerving that we get passed by. We do get some stuff, but not a lot. But that's one of the things I'd like to see. There's many, many, many. But I think that would really start putting us on the map. But the biggest thing that we really, really, really have to do is open ourselves up for business. And that's streamlining City Hall so that businesses want to do business here, and we will attract business here because this is where they want to live.
Klaus.
I have lots of ideas as to what I would like to do. The problem is, do we have the money to do it? When I first announced that I was going to run for mayor, and it was last April, quite a while ago, I mentioned that one of my pet projects for economic development, because we're in the tourist industry here, would be to build a trade and convention center. There's federal money available under the 3P program, and I would pursue that. We are looking at a cultural center that needs to be developed because, you know, a city will attract development, will attract people to spend their money here, developers, if the city looks like it's a progressive city. So we need to have some of these projects.
Okay, Victor.
Yeah, I have a passion for some larger projects, but a convention center is not one of them. The economics is weak. For Penticton, it's a massive loss leader. Experienced same thing in Prince George. Where it's actually viable is when hotels do it and basically give away the convention rooms in exchange for the hotel rooms. So I think that's a real private sector thing, and I would not encourage the city to go there. There are some specific projects we're really close to, which I think will make a significant difference. I think the rail trail is a massive thing that would make a very significant difference on the tourism side. And I think there is a campus orientation that we could do with our auditorium and associated buildings that really would have a significant link to the existing hotels and create an excellent opportunity.
Akbal.
Thanks for the question, Wayne. I was going to use the rail trail as a economic driver for this community too, and that's a major one. But there, again, we go back to the what's the problem? why is no one developing here? How do we get economic development here? And that goes back to the city becoming a lot friendlier and working with the developers. And I know that's been said, but you got to look at the reasons why no one's coming here and no one wants to develop here. So if we can change that, we'll get more people wanting to do developments here. And, a convention center, I could see it maybe 20 years down the road, but what we need is a hotel when they come in here to build a 1,000-seat room, a center like that, because we could use one of those.
Mary Jo.
The project that I would like to see us work on almost immediately, that we're well set up to do, is our waterfront plan. We own a lot of those lots down at the waterfront, and there's money being transferred to us from the regional district as a result of the parks plan. So we'll be able to open up some of those lots and make them much more amenable to the public, which I think will be a real draw. That, I think, will draw people to that region and will increase investment in that region. The second thing that I'd like to do down at the waterfront is work really closely with our Aboriginal band that owns the land closer to Kin Park. They own the camping ground and the RV part behind it. That, to me, would be a wonderful place for a hotel with lake access, with possible convention rooms. And it would also be a big draw to our region.
Okay, next up is Colt on line 1. Go ahead, please.
My question is for Victor Cummings. What ideas do you have for building a sustainable green economy in Vernon over the next 4 years?
Sustainable green economy. Go ahead, Victor.
Wow, that's the exciting part of this. And there's a few things that we can do really well. And one is the city itself can do really good things to move itself along and lower its carbon footprint. And they're doing some substantial things around lighting, boiler operation, high-speed internet between buildings. These are a lot of things. Transportation, decreasing the size of the fleet in terms of its physical size and number and fuel use. And there are a series of opportunities close by for those in the private sector who are already starting to look at this. The city is obviously moving to solar panel hot water in 2 of their facilities, and a number of others are beginning to look at it. So very key in that area.
Thank you for that question. Linda, you're next on the air.
Yes, I would like to ask this of all of candidates. If you're elected and you're sitting on council and get an application from a developer who wants a significant variance from our OCP, do you grant it because it will provide jobs? What would help you make a decision?
Okay. Those things do come up quite often at council. So let's start with you, Akbal. Go ahead.
I think what you really have to do is look at what the variance would be, because you could set a precedent, and that's something you do not want to do. So it all depends on what the variance would be and how many, back steps the city would have to take to that. So,
Klaus?
Community plans are guidelines, and they're reviewed about every 5 or 6 years. I've been through the rewriting of about 4 community plans, and each time we thought we had the best plan in the world until 5 or 6 years later, things have changed and we would rewrite it. So we got to be careful that community plans don't become a plan to do nothing. They're guidelines, and we have to be flexible. Life moves on. And if it's a good thing for the community to make a change, you bet I will make that change and I will support it.
Victor.
Thanks for the question, Linda. I think that OCPs, in terms of their principles, and ours have really strong smart growth principles, I would not change the OCP. Those are things that I think we need to stay firm on. We do not need more hillside development at this point. We do not need a number of other kinds of things that OCP is very clear about. Part of the reason we don't need changes is we've got 4,000 or 5,000 empty lots. I mean, we have stuff in place to work. But if it goes against those key principles of the OCP, which I know the community fought very strongly for in the 2007, 8, 9, no, I would not adjust that OCP.
Jamie?
Very, very good question. I don't really think that what we should be doing either is discrediting what was done in the OCP. Like going through the guiding principles, they are very, very sound. We will have to look at every project as a one-off and look at the cost benefit, but I really don't think that what we do in our city that has a harmful effect to our city should go forward. I'm all for growth, but it has to be sustained growth. It has to be done properly, and we have to protect our environment. We have to protect our waterfront, and we have to protect our buildings and have to protect our people.
Mary Jo.
Linda, I agree with you in that the OCP is there for a reason. A significant change for it, I don't believe would be recommended by staff. I think people would have to be going against staff recommendations and against in order to proceed with those things. I also would say, though, in terms of what Klaus said, if something came up that we just hadn't considered in the OCP, that wasn't the council itself didn't feel would be a detriment to the community, I would look at that. But I think it's easy to identify things that are detrimental to our community vision. And our community vision is pretty green and broad-based. I don't see us changing sort of our sustainable OCP lightly. It would have to be something.
Well, it's 7:10 now, so we've got time for one more caller. Bob, you are it, our last caller of the night. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Just going back to the water issue, with costing and purity issues, just wondering what everyone's position would be on Cow Lake, which is where we draw drinking water from. With all the boat traffic, how would everyone feel about limiting or removing power boats from that lake with exhaust gases, benzene, which is a carcinogen? It's affecting the drinking water, and it's the old story, you can only pee in the drinking water so long. So just wondering what everyone's position is on that.
Removing power boats from Cow Lake, that would be a big issue. Mary Jo, do you want to start on that?
That's a huge issue. It's probably a regional district issue. I don't know that it would come to the City of Vernon table. We do have a good water source at Cow Lake. And I have heard lots of people with the Save the Cow Lake Fund talk about the damage that the motorboats do. I've also actually heard more complaints about the audio problem of the motorboats in Cow Lake just because of the way it's built there. So I think it's something that we all have to look at. I believe most citizens in Vernon, in this region, are here because they love this region. They'll do a lot to try to protect it and make sure it's good and clean for our kids and our kids' kids. So I don't know that it's an issue right today, motorboats.
Akpal?
No, I know Kelowna draws drinking water off Cow Lake too. So,
Cow Lake or Okanagan?
Okanagan, yeah, sorry. But Cow Lake, I just can't see the City of Vernon. Again, we'd have to work with our jurisdiction. I do believe it's a regional district problem if that was the case and we wanted to remove the boats from there. Am I in favor of having safe drinking water? Of course, I think everybody here is. I just don't know how you would deal with that as the City of Vernon going forward.
Yeah, most city residents do get their water from Cow Lake, though, so I think it would be a City of Vernon issue. Klaus, I guess we'll go around the table here and wrap up with that. Klaus, your thoughts?
The water in Kalamalka Lake mostly comes from springs at the bottom of the lake, and it turns over on a regular basis. I don't know how often per year. I think we can control the boat traffic, and I think there are some rules in place already that within a certain distance from the shoreline, they have to operate their boats at a slower rate. Now, yes, there will be spillage into the lake. There's lots of spillages going into that lake. The Coldstream Creek runs into the El Coldstream Lake as well, and it brings all kinds of other things, unmentionables, into that lake. It is our drinking water. It's been very good so far, and I'd love to go on.
Okay. But you can't. Jamie.
Well, we are basically a tourist community. And I really, I don't see, if we start doing stuff like taking boats off the lake, I think we're slowly just going to possibly kill our town. But I mean, we have emissions for cars. We should have better emissions for boats. Like, there could be cleaner boats on the lake. They could do things that are less harmful to the environment. And I think that's what we need to look at, not banning people from the lake. Like, I know there's older boats or older things that can leak, but if we can control that and control what goes into the lake, I think that's what we have to do. But I really don't think we can start taking away the livelihood of a lot of the businesses that are in Vernon by not having boats on the lake.
And the last word goes to you, Victor.
Yeah, I really like the upgrading of what's required to operate a motorboat on the lake, and emission requirements, and move in that direction. Electric boats are here now and growing in their power. We've seen that already emerge in snowmobiles and a number of those recreation vehicles. And I think that making those regulations on motorized vehicles on the lake would be a great way to move over time.
All right, it is 7:15, so we are going to cut it off here. I want to say thank you very much to the candidates. Folks, these are 5 very, very good candidates, and I have no idea who's going to win on November 15th, but all of you deserve a lot of credit for running, and it's a great field of candidates, so congratulations to you all. I'd like to thank the KISS FM staff who has helped out behind the scenes tonight: Craig Foster, Kaylee Johnson, Rob Abramenko, and Jason Armstrong. And thank you to all the listeners for listening tonight. Don't forget to vote. The advance polls started today. They continue until 8 o'clock tonight. General voting day is November 15th. And of course, you can get all the results and the reaction the night of the election on your local first station, 107.5 KISS FM. Good night.